Okay, I think we're up and running. Okay, so I think all of you know I'm a hospice nurse, and this weekend I had a patient that the whole family, oh, it's just such a beautiful family, and this young man who died, 36 years old, this weekend. His mother has been caring for him since he was 12. He had muscular dystrophy, and I've never seen a clear example of someone who's just so dedicated to living a spiritual life in such difficult circumstances for a long period of time. We kind of think we have it rough because we've been in quarantine and, since March, and we feel like that's sustained effort, which it is very much sustained effort of what we've all been coping with and the levels of things that we're coping with. But here's a woman who has been taking care of her son for 34 years. And, her life has been defined by her commitment to him. And I keep thinking about the Niyamas in yoga, the kind of internal ethics and disciplines that we cultivate through our yoga practice. And they are, just in case you forget, Saucha, which is this development of purity. It's like a condensement, a honing in of pure thought and clarity, both in mind, body, and spirit. And the next is Santosha, which is a sense of contentment. No matter what is swirling around you, can you find the peace in the moment? The next is Tapas, which I always akin it to will, but it's not just will, it's being able to stay present for difficulty and in the service of transformation. So, when we allow ourselves to stay instead of run away or hide in our minds, bodies, or spirits, when we're facing something that's challenging, this is a deep practice, tapas. And the next is Svadhyaya, which is just self-study, learning about yourself, knowing, taking time to reflect upon how you are being in the world. And then the last is Ishvara Pranidhana, which is giving yourself over to a higher purpose, letting your actions, your words, your thoughts, everything be for more than just yourself. And these are great things to cultivate. It takes a lifetime to work with cultivating these. And here was this woman who knew nothing about the Niyamas and didn't really, I don't know enough about her to know, where her process has been for the last 34 years. But here's someone who has spent her entire lifetime developing these skills. And it was so obvious in her, the strength and resiliency and capacity to see the bigger picture was so profound. And in a time of deep crisis and loss, what a healing force and stabilizing force that was for her. So I think that's wise and worthy for us to work with these skills, because we're all coming up against challenges, current challenges, future challenges, and how we choose to respond really matters. So close your eyes for a moment and think about these internal ethics. Did any one of them kind of speak to you, this sense of developing clarity and purity in your thinking, your body, your heart? A deep sense of contentment to just be the eye of the storm, steadying yourself despite the external circumstances. Gratitude, I think, lives in there. Tapas, this ability to be disciplined, to stay present, deeply present, to allow yourself to be the ballast in the storm for yourself and for others, and to let this deepen your resiliency and growth. Studying yourself, knowing where you need some shoring up, and then surrendering it all. And what does that mean to you? Is it a divine energy? Is it just simply letting your breath go outward and sharing your energy with another human or any being on the planet? Is it an intention that you hold to bring forth goodness in the world? What do all these things mean to you? So drop in Our practice is so wonderful for learning these skills in the easy places. The body is the easy place to learn the skills. It's the mind that's much harder, the heart that's much harder. So let's practice some of this in our bodies, in our practice. So close your eyes and breathe deeply and fully, letting go of tension you feel through your face. Any stress and strain of your day, begin to let it go. Drop energy down into the body. See if you can feel the sense of connection to the lower parts of you, your legs, the heaviness of your legs, your pelvis, your pelvic floor. Can you drop the breath low? Can you drop the energy low? And just feel the sense of groundedness. Melt your shoulders just a bit and notice what's binding around your chest, your lungs, your heart, your diaphragm. See if you can melt any grips or grabs or binds that you have that take away from the freedom of your breath. How can you relax in this moment? All right, let's place our palms together at our heart and just move inside. Gaze toward your third eye, gaze toward your heart. Set an intention for your practice. Okay, and let's release the hands and come onto your back. All right, so as you find your way onto the floor, take your time to enjoy what the feeling of horizontal gives your body. Okay, so here we are in this state of, the rib cage gets to float a bit, the spine gets to spread a little bit. See if you can sense that. And whether you want your legs straight or bent, you decide. Just first, before we start activating some energy, what does it feel like to drop in, to just surrender? Surrender can be very hard for a lot of people. So notice the ways in which it's easy for you. Notice the ways in which there might be parts of you that don't drop well. All right, and let's stretch. Okay, so stretch your arms overhead. Lengthen through the right side, lengthen through the left side. Just get some freedom moving in your body. Feel the rims of you, the sides of you. And then go ahead and bring your knees into your chest and give yourself a little hug. Rock here. Feel the soothing nature of moving across your sacrum. All right, then let's circle the knees. Let's go one way a few times. And let's go another way. All right, and then let's bring our knees away from each other, back in. Just getting some range of motion in our hip joints. All right, and then let's move into our radiation from the center outward. So express your limbs, let them open and widen. And once you're here, take a deep breath. If you want to hold your breath, you can. Go ahead and squeeze everything you have. Find all the muscles that you have access to squeeze in the body and give them a good squeeze all the way down to your feet. And then relax that. Take a breath. And as you exhale, pick up your head, knees into your chest. Inhale, open yourself up, wide and free. Exhale, close yourself up. Bring your knees and your chest and your chin toward each other. Now pause here for a moment. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, squeeze your air out and squeeze everything you have some access to here. And then relax your head back down onto the ground. Stretch your right leg on the floor. Bring your left knee into the chest. Just give some compression into the hip. Wiggle out your toes. Roll through your ankles. Wake some other parts of you up. All right, and then let's switch. Right knee in, Keep moving your feet around if you want. Feel a sense of compression in the hip joint. And then we're going to start to pick up the pace of going back and forth. So left knee in, right leg straight, right knee in, left leg straight. Just going back and forth. You can go as slow or as fast as you want. Start to let your core warm up and think about your hip flexors, so your psoas muscles. See if you can find some deep integration of the flexion of your hips. Are you breathing? All right, and then once you're ready, spread out, arms and legs on the floor. Take a deep breath in, and then exhale, knees into the chest, head up. And then find your way onto your side. Come up onto your hands and your knees. All right, so as we find our way into onto all fours, take your time. Find a bit of yielding here before you go anywhere. Can you let your hands sink into the earth? Can you rebound through the bones of your arms? Find your relationship with where you're touching the floor with your knees, your shins, your feet, your hands. And then as you're ready, let's start to move through some cat-cows. So you can arch the back, open the chest, you can round the spine, open the back of the heart. Take your time, notice all the little places. Where do you like to breathe? There's no right or wrong way to breathe, only just breathe. And then after you move your spine around simply, you can start to add more complexity into your movement. So, maybe your spine wants to roll around in all sorts of different planes. Remember that your head and your tail are part of that. So take your time to feel some movement in your body. All right, and then come back to all fours. Renew how your hands are placed so you're not leaning into the wrist too much. And just let your hips rock way over to the right. Stretch your heart forward a bit, just opening up the outer hip a little bit. And then come back and rock your hips all the way as far as they'll go to the left. Like you're still having some weight through both hands. And then come back up. Take your right leg straight back behind you. Engage your glutes. Feel your hamstrings kick into gear a little bit. So find some pulsing if that feels nice in your body. Deep breaths. Try not to fall with your torso. And then release that knee down onto the ground. Second side. And remember that your core is deeply involved in this process. It's not just the glutes. So connect front and back, extend the spine, pulse a few times. And just notice already, do you have a sense that one hip is stronger or one set of glutes is stronger than the other? And then bring that back down. Stretch into child's pose. Relax the hips toward the heels. Take your arms in a comfortable place. Let's walk the hands. If they're over your head, walk them over to the left. And even if they're down at the sides, you can still stretch your torso to the left, even if your shoulders don't accommodate arms overhead well. Find some weight through the pelvis. Relax the base of the skull. Let the eyes melt into the lids. Let the brain melt into the forehead. And then come back to center, inch over to the other side. Lengthening this side of your body. Feel some weight drop down into the pelvis. Relax the base of the skull. Deep inhale. Long exhale. And let's come back. Find your way onto all fours again. Our warm-up twist, lift the right arm up in the air. As you're ready, slide that shoulder down. Gaze toward the floor. Let the shoulders move away from the ears. Finding your breath. What's easy and soft here? Is your neck relaxed? And then inhale, reach that arm all the way back up. Place the hand down onto the ground, change sides. Lift the left arm, slide the left shoulder through, shoulders away from the ears. Feel the sense of space. Enjoy the twisting. Breathe into the twisting. It's a unique sensation to have the lungs touch up against the rib cage in the twist. And then inhale, reach that arm back up. Place the hand down onto the ground and find your way
to dog pose. So take your time here. If you want to bend your knees a lot, you can bend your knees a lot. There's no rights or wrongs of how you begin coming into a pose like this. So feel free to bounce, to pedal, to sway. Let some movement happen in the body. Feel the sense of stability through your shoulders. Feel some yielding in your hands instead of just pushing. All right, and then come into a bit of stillness. And we're going to have a big outer hip stretch here, just like we tried to do on all fours. Bend your left knee and cross the left knee in front of the right knee and lift the right hip high, 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 high. And then come back. Evenness through the two sides, change sides. Cross the right knee, lift the left hip, high, high, high. Deep breaths while you're here. All right, and then come back to center. Spread out your feet and hands. And then as you're ready, walk your feet forward and come into Uttanasana. Relax your body as much as you can in a posture like this so the knees can bend as much as you want. Let the shoulders soften, bubble the head to make sure your neck is easy. Inhale for a halfway lift. The spine grows. Exhale and melt back down. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, straight legs, lift and widen the sit bones. Stretch the bottom of your feet. Exhale and melt back down. While you're here, hands can be anywhere you want them to be. Isometrically drag your feet apart. Wake up those outer hip muscles. And see if you can lift from the outer arches all the way to the outer hips. And then release that. Go ahead and come down onto the floor for just a moment. Come to sit. Bring your legs straight out in front of you. So we're going to do just a little bit of balance today. So I want these peroneal muscles on the outside of your shins to be really awake. So first, point your bottoms of your feet toward each other. And then open them, try to pull them away from each other. See if you can feel those muscles in the, I can feel it all the way up into my outer hips, but at least in the shins, just kind of go back and forth between inverting and everting. Breathe. And just notice the connection. I get a little cramp in my hip when I invert my left foot. So, just see, does it feel like it travels up into your hips or does it stay in your calves? And then you can always take your hands behind you to support you. We're just going to flex and point the feet a few times. And then a couple circles. This will warm up those peroneal muscles that help you balance. Go the other way. Great. And then bring your feet back down onto the ground. Go ahead and come back into Uttanasana. Open up the bottom of your feet. Fold comfortably so the knees can be bent. And then as you're ready, rise up. Lift the arms all the way to the sky. Deep breath. Cactus, open your arms if it feels good or you want to. And then exhale and round in. Reach your arms to the sky. Take a breath. Exhale and float forward. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Step the left foot back, right foot forward. The way we warm up our legs, let some movement happen. So start to bend and straighten the front knee. You can exhale and square the hips, drop the head down. Find your breath as you move. So whatever feels nice, whatever range is comfortable for you, part of that sense of marrying santosha or contentment with tapas or your discipline, your ability to stay, really helps you hone just exactly where your range of motion is. Come into a full lunge. Inhale, rise up. Bring your hands onto your hips for a moment. Lift your heart. Extend through the back leg. Feel the hip flexors open. Breathe. When you're ready, you can add the arms into this. Try not to divot the low back. See if you can let the front body draw in and support the back body. Find your breath. Let's come into a twist. So choices. Do you want to have an upper twist? Do you want to have your elbow on your forearm twist? Hand on your block, or floor? Decide what's your favorite way to be in this moment. Extend the spine. Feel the back leg reach and lengthen. Go ahead, back up.
Feel your legs start to warm. Bring your back foot forward. Come into Uttanasana. Halfway lift. Exhale and melt. Step back with the other foot. Left foot is now forward. Right foot is back. Come into a lunge. Start to move when you're ready. Squaring the hips, bowing in. Feeling a sense of reach through the back leg as you bend your front knee. Make sure you're breathing. Who cares where you're breathing? Just make sure you're breathing. So this is back to that sense of rules versus principles. Don't follow any rules of I must inhale here and I must exhale there. Instead, stay with the principle of movement happens best with breath. Come into your lunge. Find your steadiness. Feel free to take your leg out to the side a little bit more if you need it. Put your arms wherever is a happy place for your body. Open your chest. Even if your arms are down, feel the length, the upward movement through your spine. Breathe deeply. Try not to sink into the low back. Support, lift the spine out of the pelvis. And then as you're ready, find your twist. Extending the spine, extending the back leg. Find the sense of connection with your inner thighs toward the midline. Spread out the bones of your feet. Lift the outer arches now to the outer knees. And then unwind that. Reach the arms back up or out or down. Walk your hands onto the floor and step back to a plank. All right, so find your stability. Try not to let your stability be all just about push, right? So yield your hands into the earth. See if you can find that sense of a pure line of energy moving through you into the earth and back again. Is there a sense of contentment? All right, let's put our knees down. Slowly lower yourself to the floor. Take a deep breath. Cobra pose if it feels good. A different choice if it doesn't. Come back out. Take your arms out in front of you. Elbows a little forward of your shoulders. Turn your hands on an angle so that it's just like a very wide, modified cobra pose. Extend your legs. Keep the core helping the low back. So let go of your core for a minute and just feel yourself fall. And notice where your divot, where your, the trough of your spine lives most deeply. And see if you can connect your core right into that spot. Meet that spot. Lengthen again, stretch through your feet, and then melt toward the floor. Come up on all fours. Feel free to move some things around. You can sway or do some circles or anything that feels good in your body. All right, let's go ahead and walk our feet back, dog pose. Find your breath. Take your feet and isometrically pull them apart from each other here to see what that feels like. And then we're going to walk our feet forward, come into Uttanasana. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt. Either put a block between your thighs if you like that for chair pose, or touch your toes, however you like to do chair pose. We're not going to have the block the whole time, but you can start with it. So come here. Allow yourself to start just sitting. Okay, so let there be some weight dropping into the heels. Notice if you lean forward, see if you can drop back a little bit. Feel that sense of flexion, like when we were lying on the floor and picking one knee up and then the other knee up. Can you feel the deep hip flexors be what's holding you here instead of rounding your back to pull yourself in from higher, go low. Full breaths here. Arms go wherever you want them to go. Weight in the heels. Ribs draw in. Nice neutral curve in the spine. Start to feel some thigh burn, or at least some heat, warmth, blood flow. And just notice, and see if you can notice that. Can you stay amidst strong sensation? Stay breathing. Full inhales, full exhales. And then we're going to lower our torso down. Our arms swing back. Inhale, come on up. Come up onto your tippy toes. Find your breath. And then place your heels down. Bring your hands to your heart. Take the block out if you're using it. Stand into your right foot and lift your left knee up. And see if you can find the lever here, that it's really in your hip flexor, not so much in your upper core pulling you in, but in the deep low hip flexor. Imagine that you have a little, drawstring from your navel to the top of the femur bone that's getting shorter, pulling it in. Find your breath. Soften the knee you're standing on. Maybe you want to lift the arms up, maybe you don't. Can you balance your hips instead of letting one hike out? How's your standing leg? Begin to bend your standing leg a little bit more than just a soft knee. So come into just the teeniest bit of a squat. So it can be this much. It does not have to be a deep squat. It can just be a little bit of a squat. Okay, 2 feet on the ground. Change your arms if you want, and let's find the other way. Bring your right knee up, standing on your left. Notice if you tend to, push the hip out. See what you can do to keep the hip bend, to soften the knee, to find the breath, find your stability. Lift the outer arches. Feel those peroneal muscles kick in. Feel the deep core, that deep hip flexor. Find the length of your spine. And then when you're ready, no matter what you're doing with your arms, start to bend the knee. And if you're not stable in the bent knee, then just don't do this. Okay, so that if your knee feels somewhat stable to bend, let's see what happens. Breathe deeply. Try something different with your arms if your balance is off. Sometimes having your arms out wide can be very helpful for balance. And then 2 feet on the ground, arms up, exhale, and fold in half. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale and melt back down. Step your left foot back. Right foot comes forward. This time, instead of lifting your back heel up for a lunge, let's plant the back heel down for Virabhadrasana 1. So you can take the front leg out to the side as much as you need to. Remember, it does not have to be a deep bend. You can back away from the depth of your bend as much as you want. Try to lean forward here for just a moment. Arms can be anywhere you want. Find that spot. Actually, come up for a moment. Lean back and just notice where your low back wants to divot. Where's your spot that likes to sink in? Notice that. Lean forward again, and then connect the core right to that spot. See if you can find a magnet between the front and back body right there. Feel grounded through your back heel. Connect into there from your crown to your back heel. Start to come upright without losing the connection of the front and back body. Feel the arms go wherever you want them to be. Lunge as deeply as you want. Back away as much as you want. Find your breath. Lift the outer arches up to the outer knees. Okay, let's bring our hands down onto the ground. We're going to hop up onto half splits here. Stretch your leg in the air. Pulse a couple of times. Find your breath. Crown and tail moving away from each other all the way to your foot. Inner spiral the thigh in the air, so there's an internal rotation. Soften the knee you're standing on. Lift outer arches to outer hips. Take a big giant step back. This time, crescent lunge one more time. We're all going to do a big open wide twist. So arms out to the side, shoulders down away from the ears. Find your lunge. Inhale, come back up. Place your hands down onto the ground. Front foot back, plank pose. Deep breath in, yield something. On your next exhale, find your way to the floor. Back bend of your choice. What do you like to do? Open the chest. Exhale and melt. Come up onto all fours. Take some time to nourish the spine. Move around any way you want. Deep breath in and away. Find your way to dog pose when you're ready. Deep breath. Let's bring our left foot forward. Back heel comes down to the floor. Virabhadrasana 1. So feel free to take your foot out to the side. You don't have to be heel aligned. Find your lunge. So, wherever along that plane works for your knee. See it come up and notice that spot in your back again. And then lean forward until you lose the divot. Connect front body into it. Lengthen your crown to the back heel. Find the stability of your outer line of your legs, lifting the outer arches up to the hips. Find your way up. Find a hug to the inner thighs, to the midline. Keep connecting the front and back body. Breathe deeply. Where do you want your arms to be? What's giving you a sense of being able to breathe? This sense of clarity and purity comes through the breath best. Let's bring the hands down onto the blocks. Inhale, lift up into half splits. Pulse that leg if you want, just sense what you're sensing. Square hips, lengthen the spine. Your knee that you're standing on, a little micro bend. You don't have to have a deep bend, but just make sure it's not locked out. Deep work in the glutes, both legs. And then place your foot down onto the ground. Inhale for a halfway lift. Check out your breathing, make sure it's steady. Exhale, melt. Inhale, rise up. Bringing your arms to the sky. Exhale and trace down. Pause here for a moment. Feel your yielding body into the earth. Soft joints. Deep breaths. Let the breath go down, down, down. All the way to the soles of the feet if you can. Does yielding give you that sense of contentment? The santosha. Let's touch our toes together. No block this time for chair pose. Inhale, reach the arms up. You go where you go. So a little bend, a lot of bend. You decide. Make sure you're checking with the angles of your spine. Feel the navel connect to that divot spot that you like to bend in your back. Feel the hip flexors. Psoas is on both sides, flexing, shortening the chain. Okay. From here, take your arms wherever you want. We're going to stand on the right foot and hover the left foot up. Okay, so sometimes arms wide or hands on hips can help with balance. You decide where you need to be. See if you can pull the outer arches, the outer feet up to the hips. Feel the inner thighs connect, your core. And then inhale, lift the knee up in the air. Reach your arms to the sky, still soft in your knee. And then place that foot down onto the ground. Just touch your toes again. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, chair pose. Let's go to the other side. So we're going to stand on our left leg. Our right leg is going to hover off the floor. If you're very wobbly, if your knee's not stable, get upright a little bit more and find less of a lunge or, a flex in the knee. Put your hands where it's most comfortable. Feel your psoases. Feel your outer lines of your legs. Feel your breath. And then inhale, lift that knee high to the sky, reach the arms. Find your deep breaths. Place your hands down onto your sides, both feet on the ground. Bend your knees, fold in half. Inhale and lengthen the spine. Exhale and melt back down. Step forward or backward, come into dog pose. Deep breaths in and away. Find a sense of extension through the spine. Feel the connection, the yielding. If we're working with learning how to surrender, accessing yield every chance you get will teach your body what surrender feels like. Inhale, lift your right leg up in the air. Take a breath, square hips here. Find your breath. Hug into the midline, inner spiral the thigh in the air. Try to have some balance across your sacrum. Lift from the outer arches all the way to the outer hips. When your next exhale comes, knee to nose. All your breath out. One more time. All your breath out. Inhale. Can you feel the tapas, the discipline starting in your body? Bring your foot forward, come into a lunge. Inhale, rise up. Bring your arms wherever you want them to be. And then we're going to bring our hands back onto the blocks, half splits again. Extend, connect your crown to your foot in the air. Exhale, one-legged squat again. Knee into the chest. Inhale, push out. Exhale, knee to chest. See if you can make the flexion of this be in your hip flexors instead of your upper back rounding. Inhale, out. Exhale. We're going to stay here. Outer arches, hugging in. Maybe your hands come off the blocks. Maybe they don't. Can you flex the hip flexors? Can you stretch the outer feet up? Can you lengthen the spine? Can you stay with the breath? Are the collarbones broadening? Tapas, stay. Strong sensation. Okay. And then put your hands down, push out, extend the spine, place your foot down onto the ground. Halfway lift, let your thigh bones move back. Exhale and softly move into a forward fold. Step back to dog pose. Okay. Finding your breath here. Notice you're yielding as best as you can. Notice the symmetry in the body. Notice the breath. What can you melt? What can you let go of? What feels content and peaceful? Can you let the breath bathe the brain? And so just feel that the thought patterns can just take a rest inside of the breath. Let's lift the left leg up in the air, square hips, engage your glutes on both sides, find the balance across the sacrum, inner spiral your thigh in the air, press the foot back. Take a deep inhale. As you exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, bring it back. Exhale, knee to nose. One more time, bringing it up. This time we get to plant our foot. Come into a lunge. Come on up, bring the arms to the sky. I have a feeling I forgot this on this side before, so maybe we're double dipping, I don't know, but let's do it anyway. Okay, drop the shoulders, twist. Find your breath, find the midline. And then inhale, come back. Place the hands down onto the blocks, calf splits again. Stretch through that leg in the air, extend the heart. Take a deep inhale as you exhale, knee behind knee. Inhale, stretch out. Try to make the flexion in your low body instead of rounding your head and your upper body, your upper spine. See if you can instead, when you come into the flexion, that you use the hip flexors and the spine can still grow. Maybe you want to keep your hands on the blocks while you're here. Maybe your hands come off. Find the spreading of your collarbones, the shoulder blades drawing down, the rhomboids kick in. Feel the deep core low in the body. Feel the inner thighs, lift the outer feet. Breathe deeply. All right, and then as you're ready, you can place your hands back down, stretch your leg, come back to a lunge. Maybe you come up, maybe you don't. Find your breath, and then we're going to walk our back foot forward. Come to stand for a moment. Pause here. Just let the postures that you've done so far drain away from you. Deep inhale, deep exhale. Reach the arms to the sky and fold in half. Inhale for a halfway lift. Step right back to a plank. For this, because we're going to do some balance within this, if you want to put your knees down, you can. Find your breath. We're going to lift the left leg and the right arm. Now, you can either do this like I'm doing it with just hand and foot on the floor. You can also do bird dogs. So you put your knees on the ground and lift the leg and the arm out in front of you. So decide your pathway. No attachments. Breathe. And then exhale. And rest knees and hands on the floor. Have a cat-cow or any kind of movement. Deep breaths. And then find your pathway on this next side. So we're going to lift the right leg and the left arm. And if your knees are on the floor, you're still just lifting the left arm and the right leg. Stay in your breath. Deep inhales and exhales. Feel your glutes. And then everybody back down onto all fours. Cat-cow if it feels nice. Find your way to the ground. A similar thing. So first, just take a back bend however you like to back bend. Melt into the floor. Put your hands underneath your forehead for a moment. And feel your breath. Feel maybe that spot that kind of divot spot where your back likes to sink. Breathe from there and feel the breath travel down to your tail and your crown from that spot, and then come back home to that spot. Just feel the breath wave out from that deep low center. All right, and then just a little bit more cross hemisphere work on our belly here. So you can have your arms down, or you can have your arms up or out. Okay, so you decide. We're just going to do the opposition states again. So lift the left leg and the right arm. See if you can feel that divot spot that wants to collapse and bring your core to it. Lift from the outer foot to the outer hip. Slight inner spiral of the thigh. And then melt that back down. Change sides. Feel your core, protect the back. Wrap around your core, like the whole 360. Hold steady. Lift that leg, lift that opposite arm, and the arm can be out to the side or back. It doesn't have to be over your head. Deep breath, stabilize yourself. Use your glutes, your core, your inner thighs, your outer hips. The neck is long. Don't look up, look down. And then melt toward the floor. Pick up your feet and just windshield wiper your knees left and right. And let's come back to child's pose for a moment. Surrender. Let yourself drop in. So what are you noticing about yourself? This sense of self-study that is part of the Niyamas. What do you notice through your practice? Do you notice the inner speak? You know, the constant replay that your mind talks constantly, right? Do you have little things you say to yourself inside your head? Are there judgments about what you can and can't do? Do you ruminate? You know, so study your thought patterns. And when you find something that's not serving you, surrender it. Try to let it go as best as you can. Let's lift up to dog pose when you're ready. Notice the breath, this purity, this clarity that comes from moving the body, becoming so present in the fluid body. Do you feel that deep into your practice now? Do you feel that sense of embodiment, clarity, purity of body, mind, and spirit? And let the breath channel that. Inhale, lift your right leg up in the air. Exhale, let's bring the foot through to a lunge. You can either choose to come up into crescent lunge or place the back heel down onto the ground. We're going to find our way into Virabhadrasana 3. So you get to decide where your arms want to be, whether they're back or out or up or palms at your heart. Does not matter. Lean forward again like we did before and find that connection of front and back body. When you start to come into the posture, remember the pose can look like this. You can be this far. You do not have to be super deep in the pose for the pose to be very effective in the body. We're trying to get the line through your spine. So feel the groundedness of your foot. Lift the outer arches to the hips. Inner spiral the leg in the air. Crown to heel, lengthening. Move your arms. If your arms are behind you, lift them higher. Feel the back body help you along the way. Connect the core into that spot that you like to sink. And then a deep step back into Vira 1 or crescent lunge, whatever works for your body. Walk the back foot forward, pause here for a moment. Feel your groundedness. Sink your roots down, feel the yielding. Maybe arms come down at your sides. If you feel balance poses are elusive to you or you just don't like them because they make you feel uncomfortable, enjoy the comfort of symmetry and groundedness, 2 feet, and see if you can muster up the contentment that comes from just standing and bring that into the imbalance that you feel on one leg. So when you're ready, let's go ahead and step our left foot forward. Our right foot is coming back. Come into a lunge on this side. You get to decide whether your back heel is down or lifted. Okay, find your way. Find your way. So before you go anywhere, take a moment, dim your eyes, even if they don't close all the way, dim them, and get into that state of grace where you're steady, You have this quality of sattva, the steady middle way that can live easily when we're comfortable and not so easily when we're challenged. So find that, hold that, and bring that sense of contentment into your Virabhadrasana 3. The breath is the gateway to stay there. Who cares if your pose falls apart? If your back leg drops down, if you fall out, it's meaningless. Stay with the presence of your mind, the sattvic state, that steady, smooth, balanced state of equanimity. Your breath is moving through you, your core is engaged. Feel the crown and tail, lots of work in the legs. All right, and then a big giant step back, come into Vira 1 or crescent lunge. Arms might come up, maybe not. Find your breath. And then release your hands. Last pass through, dog pose. You can just skip this if you want to just come to child's pose. Lengthen through the spine. Feel the work that has happened in your hips and glutes. Stretch them now. Lift and widen the sit bones. Let the hamstrings open. Deep breath in and out. Let's come forward into a plank. 4 points of contact or 6 points of contact with knees down. Enjoy the steadiness of that. Find your breath. And then let's slowly come down to the ground. Last back bend of your choice. So go where you go. And melt. Pick up your feet and rock. Left and right. And then put your feet down. And one more time, feel that the breath is traveling from that divot spot outward to your tail and your crown. And on your exhale, it's coming back into that spot. Just radiate from your center, the back center, on your breath. What are you able to surrender into the floor here? Can you yield all the parts of you that are touching the earth? Give your breath over. All right, let's go ahead and find our way. If you need a little pit stop on all fours to nourish your back, do that. Otherwise, come to child's pose. And you get to decide where your arms are going to be and where your legs are going to be. So you can have your knees far, close. You can have your arms up, down. Breathe here. If child's pose doesn't work well for you, make some adjustments. If you need something behind your knees, or if you need to just move forward more. All right, let's go ahead and find our way onto our back. Grab your strap, if you have one. It's okay if you don't. Okay. First, just bring your knees into your chest. Let's come back to where we began, just rocking. Okay, let's just do a little bit of symmetry before we do one-legged things again. Grab onto your feet and come into a happy baby, or maybe you'd rather have your legs straight and hold your legs. And whatever you're doing, whether you're going into deep flexion or just stretching the inner thighs, seek symmetry between the two sides of your pelvis. Okay, and then release that. Let's take our right foot in the strap. Left leg is either bent with your foot on the floor or your left leg is straight on the ground. Drop your shoulders away from the ears. Find the extension, reaching up through your foot and down through your hip. Deep breaths in and away. Even here, you might notice that you hyperextend pretty easily in your knee. So let's be really mindful to not push our knee back. Breathe deeply. Enjoy the stretch through your glutes and through your hamstrings and calf. Now let's point the sole of your foot inward toward the midline. So invert your foot. So you're lifting the pinky toe side up in the air, big toe side coming down toward the earth. And then release that. Take the strap into the right hand, open up your leg.
to the side. Stay grounded through the left side of your body. Go ahead and bring that leg back up. Change sides. Cross the hand over to, or the strap to the other hand. You can put the heel of your right hand in the hip crease if you want. Stretch through your leg. Full breaths in and away. All right, inhale, lift that leg back up. 2 feet in the strap. Pause here for a moment. Just lengthen the spine. And then as you're ready, we're going to unwind the right foot out of the strap. Keep the left foot in. You can either have your knee bent on the floor or you can stretch your legs straight. Whichever's working, strap in both hands or just the left hand, whichever feels best to you. Reach up through the foot, reach down through the hip. Find the length of your leg. Find the length of your spine. Notice the breath. Take in the purity of prana through your breath. Notice on the inhale this pure energy that's moving into you. As you exhale, let that go. Anything no longer needed leaves you. Take the strap into the left hand. Open the leg out to the left. Feel grounded through the right side of your body. Stretch open through your crown to tail to heel on the ground. Deep breaths. All right, bring that leg back up. Before we take a transition to the outer hip, just stretch the outer shin first. So left big toe comes down toward your torso. Pinky toe side lifts up toward the sky. You turn your foot to look to the bottom of your foot to look right. That is inversions. Feel the stretch of the outer shin. Those are your peroneal muscles. You have 3 of them. Very important for balance, for walking on uneven terrain, keeping you steady. Okay, let's now release that. Take the strap over into the right hand. Left hand, the heel can press against the head of the femur bone if you want. You don't have to do that. Find your breath. Stretch through your foot. Breathe deeply. Open yourself up. And then come back to center. Take the strap off, knees to your chest. Swing around your knees apart from each other and back in. Just get some movement. Now, we're going to do a hip stretch, but I also don't want to ignore your hip flexors. So if you feel like your hip flexors are still needing a little bit of loosening, take a moment before we do a hip stretch to lay on a block and maybe stretch your legs or put a pillow underneath you. You can do this one-legged or two-legged. You cannot do it at all. Okay, so you just decide if you need a little opening across the psoas muscles. And then once you're ready for it, so if you're not choosing to not do that, you can come right into reverse pigeon pose. We're going to do reverse pigeon pose on each side. So when you're ready, put your right foot on your left knee. Remember, you can always use furniture. You can put your left foot on a piece of furniture instead of grabbing behind your thigh or in the front of your shin. So decide how you want to be in this posture. And feel free in the beginning to rock a little bit. Just find where you want to be in the movement of your hips. That's going to help release the work that you did in your outer hip. And then eventually, maybe find some stillness and just discover your sweet spot. Breathe into your sweet spot. right, let's release that. Stretch both legs straight for a moment. Breathe here. And we'll come to the second side when you're ready. Left foot on right knee. Right foot can come on a wall or a piece of furniture, or you can grab onto the right shin or the right thigh. Maybe you're in pigeon pose, maybe you'd rather you pigeon pose. So just see what's working for your body. Feel free to move around in this pose a little bit. You can, sometimes I circle my knees, sometimes I just rock, and then find some stillness. So whatever works for you. Make sure your neck and shoulders are relaxed. All right, one more time. Unwind the legs. Maybe spread your legs out. Just let your hips relax for a moment. And before Shavasana, we're just doing a simple twist. Okay, so let's lift your hips and move your hips right, knees come up and go left. Take a deep breath, enjoy. It's such a simple, gentle pleasure to twist the spine. Take a deep breath into that. And then come back up. Neutral spine. And then find the other side. Hips go left, knees come right. Drop the knees. Open up the chest. Deepen your breathing. All right, and then lift yourself up and let's come into Shavasana. Okay, so if you need a little something, something, you do you. So if you need anything before Shavasana, take your time to get there and then decide how you want to be. Do you want to be flat on the floor? Do you want to spread your arms and legs wide? Do you want to have things closer in? Do you want a bolster or blankets underneath your knees? Whatever feels best to your body. And let's just take a moment to deeply, deeply rest. Feel the purity of your breath moving through you. The sense of contentment. Stay present. Notice what you're feeling and let go.
Let's begin to slowly deepen your breathing, taking your time. And just notice if you've been able to embody some of these internal ethics, the Niyamas. Do you have a sense of clarity or purity that's come from your practice? Do you have a sense of contentment? Does the discipline of your practice give you the capacity to be very present through turbulence, keeping steady? Self-study of your practice, learning about yourself. And then finally, this Ishvara Pranidhana, surrendering to something higher than yourself, even if it's just surrendering your body into the earth. So let's go ahead and find some movement. Deepen your breath as you move. Let's come onto your side as you're ready. Use your arms to help sit up. And as we do in each class, let's offer our energy. This is that surrender to something higher than ourselves. So let's offer our energy outward. Share your love, your care with another, with many, wherever you're spreading your energy. See if you can do this with that sense of purity. Namaste. Thank you, everybody.